Hey guys, so today we're going to be checking out 10 great champions for snowballing a game out of control and just stomping when they get a lead early. It's like if you're kind of sick of losing to late game champions, or you just love smashing somebody in the lane and then winning from that, these are the champions for you. Right now as well, with Riot forcing a tank meta, these kind of champions are really good to close out the games before tanks become unkillable. But let's jump into it. So these are the things I'm going to be basing the champions off. Firstly, how good they are at getting ahead in the lane phase, and then how easy they are at doing that as well. Also, how when you're facing that champion, if you make one mistake, if it's just basically over after that point, if they just get out of control. And then finally, how good they are at snowballing that lead into a game win. So really, in theory, having a good early game win rate. Just quickly for junglers, it's really less about the champions in the jungle and more about the player and the game and what you do in it. Often actually, when you snowball a game and you win pretty early, you're normally helping your lane get ahead, and then they kind of do the snowballing, I guess. Anyway, for number 10, everybody's favorite Croc is pretty much a staple now in the top lane, and almost just because he's so good in the lane phase. His whole kit is packed with damage, and it's designed to crap on people, right? Like, you have a stun, you have a heal so you can fight more, 2 dashes, and your ultimate is designed for fights. The only thing really to learn is how to manage your rage, something most Riven players should probably figure out before they in. If you make a mistake against him, because he's already very strong and builds damage, giving him those items earlier only makes things worse, and you're going to end up getting dove, but there's still a chance to hold on. That's kind of why he's number 10. And 1 to 2 items, it's not that hard to roam down and almost one-shot people with a combo, so he can use that lead he gets. This pick is very weighted on the easy stuff and how strong he is in the lane phase. It's kind of hard to out-trade him, and it's proven more when the more aggressive builds tend to win more games. For number 9, we have Darius, and even though he basically is a punching bag if you get to late game, like he can't really do that much, his laning is so strong, and most people just don't know how to play against it. He's got his heal with his Q, means you can fight even more, like trade and then heal back up afterwards, ready for the next one. You have your bleed for the extra damage and your dunk. If you fight past like 6 seconds in a trade, you probably won basically. You really just have to fight. You have to stack your passive and then you have to dunk. Like, you trade and then heal it back as well. Like, it's pretty simple, but it's really effective. With his E to drag you in, if you make a mistake early, you can't really get close to him or fight him anymore. It's pretty hard to burst him, but it's hard to survive his full bleed stacks and a dunk, so you don't really have any choice. The ability to snowball is kind of what keeps him at number 9 though. Like, his lane phase is really strong, but he can sometimes struggle to close out those games. He is able to get way more kills than other laners though, and once you're ahead, you don't really offer much counterplay really. Like, he's just going to dive you over and over. Even in team fights early on, if he gets that reset with his ultimate, you're all going to be boned. Instant bleed stacks and dunk for days. So number 8 is Blitzcrank, and maybe not who you expected, but he does destroy the lane phase, and the only job really is to hook over and over. He even has a 60% ban rate in career because of how hard he can carry. He is good at getting ahead early. He just has to hook in lane and fist them. With Thunderlords, that's a good amount of damage as well, bringing them in, and you just have to worry about that hook. You don't have a lot of different things to think about or anything like that, just one job. It's easier as well when you get ahead. They have no flash and they have no way to escape. That's kind of the one mistake and it's over aspect versus Blitzcrank. Not only will he and his AD get more damage, but if he blows your flash, he can just run up to you and nail you again and again. The snowball side of things is kind of why I think he deserves his spot. Like, he has a very clear way to win the game, right? You went ahead, you keep hooking, you group and hook, you de-ward objectives and you hook. You constantly grow your lead as you play. Being able to get ahead easily and then keep fighting, like getting further ahead and stuff, using the exact same easy way is why he's really here. He might not be doing the damage himself. Actually, he might be, but he can just be definitely stomping a game so hard. Now, Zed is a funny one because he dies almost more than any other mid laner on average each game, but he still has top 5 for kills somehow, and that kind of says it all. He has a ton of damage and a gap closer for the lane phase, right? A ton of ability to outplay as well, but he isn't as easy as others, and that's one of the things keeping him from being higher in this video. It's not as easy to use your damage or get like super far ahead to start with, I think, but after that first kill though, you W forward, you press R, and they should die. It's actually really hard to recover against a Zed, and so making a mistake against him can be really costly. When we're talking about snowball, you have a lot of different options. You can roam. The new Ghost Blade helps a ton with that, but you also have a stupid amount of damage. You have a gap closer to use it, and there's no real way of stopping him either. The amount of damage you have early into the game and how hard it is to not die against him once he gets a lead is really why he's here at number 7. It's not that uncommon for a Zed player to stomp when he gets ahead, but maybe he's not the best at ending the game from there or getting ahead in the first place, I guess. So number 6 is basically Zed on juice, I guess. Fizz dies even more, but he also gets even more kills. He does have a lot of damage in the lane phase. He has 2 kind of gap closers, I guess his Q and his E, and some decent burst damage. His kit is really designed to fight and be a pain in the ass. That's all it does. When you hit 6, it becomes really easy to get your damage off, and this is also kind of why like making one mistake means you probably screwed screwed yourself. When he has his ultimate available, he can just fire it at you, and unless you flash to dodge it, you're probably going to be dead. If you do flash to dodge it, though, next time you can't, and you're going to die that time instead. But if you die the first time, you're going to be dying the second time as well. That whole idea applies to his lane phase and other lanes as well. Like even mid game, his ultimate is a really good way to engage, to catch people, slow someone, and you want to one-shot. He might not be the best at getting himself ahead. That's the one thing, I guess. But if he does, he 100% stomps the lane, and there is really nothing you can do about it. Fizz can take over a game by himself, right? Like I'm sure everybody has experienced it at least once. It's not very fun. He can one-shot everybody, and he only has to hit his R to be able to do it. I'm probably going to get some hate for this one, no doubt, but she deserves to be here, I think. She's kind of like a forgotten champion, but one that is going to slap you about in lane. Even with her trash overall win rate, she still has a close to 60% win rate before 30 minutes. It's just terrible late game. Her whole kit is kind of weird to play against and has damage coming from everywhere. Like you have to dodge her stuff plus the tentacles, and sometimes it just gets way too much to handle. I'd say it's pretty easy considering that you don't actually have to do half the work. Like the spawning tentacles do most of it anyway. You really just have to hit your E, and that's kind of it. If Illaoi gets ahead in the lane as well, you're pretty much screwed for a long time, or at least for that lane phase. Like even when she's behind, she can ruin you with her ultimate. When ahead, it gets even worse. Like you go into your tower, you try to farm, you're trying to dodge her stuff and tentacles as well. Eventually you're going to get chunked, and eventually you're going to die. The snowball area is, in my opinion, the one that lets her down a little bit. Like she isn't that great as the game goes on, but her lane phase is such a stomp fest that like it's really hard to not destroy people either. She has a ton of damage early game that flies at you from all directions, and if you ever get close to her or try to fight her or gank her, her ultimate is going to make you wish you hadn't. Now Pantheon was the first champion I actually had when I started researching this video, but he ended up only being number 4. He has poke, he has all in damage, some defense, a way to dive, and a stun. There isn't really much more you could ask for when you're trying to kill somebody in the lane phase. It's also all point and click stuff, right? It's very straightforward. You poke, you W, you press E, you auto attack for a crit, and they're gonna die. Like you can't really mess it up. I guess you can, but it's really hard to. That is kind of why as well, when you make a mistake, it is lights out. If he gets damaged quicker than normal anyway, he's already going to be a threat. Like no way you can keep up with that or even get near him really. The difference to the other 6 in this video so far is he has his ultimate to snowball the game and actually use his kind of lane stomping to stomp the rest of the game. This damage early means he can dive with his block passive as well and just keep shoving that spear where the sun doesn't shine. It's really hard to be in any lane against him when he can ult and surprise you. If Pantheon gets it rolling and roaming on the enemy team, it can be near impossible to hold on to the point where you can actually do something. Now it's going to be time to guess the top 3 like all of these videos. I'm just going to quickly ramble so you can pause this and write a comment, but I bet you won't get these or the order right. This is the one you probably got wrong. Number 3, Diana. Most likely a surprise, and especially this high up in the video, but after a mini rework, she is pretty much the definition of get ahead and stay ahead. So quickly, she has one of the highest win rates before 25 minutes and is still insane before 30. Partly this is probably because people don't understand her very well or don't know how to play against her, but still. She has this shield to avoid damage, her Q poke, and her ultimate burst damage, which means she's so good at getting ahead in the lane phase. All you have to really do in the lane is hit that Q to poke and to reset your ultimate. It's kind of like a ticking time bomb when you play against Diana though. She gets to 6 and you're gonna die. I'm not sure if letting her get to level 6 counts as a mistake, but if she does get any items earlier than normal, her base damage is so high that she will absolutely ruin you. She can one-shot people anyway. She has a gap closer, a shield, her E even keeps people in place because her damage is so high and her base damage is so high. Like she can easily dive you, and if she finds you alone, you can't even really flash away. The main things really are her insane damage in the lane phase, and it's so easy to use it. If she hits Q on you, then you're probably gonna be dead. I know a lot of you might not fully get this one, but that's just probably because you haven't really seen her recently. She isn't that popular, but when you do eventually see her, if she gets a lead, you'll see what I mean. Draven was literally made for this video. Riot gave him a get ahead, keep getting further ahead mechanic in his kit, and that makes him perfect for stomping people. Your damage is ridiculous anyway. No AD carry can auto trade with you, and as long as you have like large testicles and fight, you can't really be stopped. The reason he isn't number 1 is because I'm not sure he is as easy as some of the others to use the damage and actually get ahead in the first place. But at the same time, once you learn to like catch his axes and learn his damage, you just run at people. The biggest part about Draven though is if you give him 1 kill, you let him cash in, and you're kind of done in the lane phase at least. Not only was he already strong enough to kill you in the first place, right? But you've now given him maybe 1,000 more gold for damage for the next fight. That's kind of the thing. It's a vicious circle. Like he already has a lot of damage and kill potential, then he gets more gold, so more damage, then he farms a bit more, gets another kill, cashes in again, getting even more gold, and growing your lead is ridiculous. That's basically how he snowballs as well. He's constantly growing that lead and getting out of control, getting even more damage for his kit, which which to be honest, he doesn't even need. When a champion can rush lifesteal and still dominate the lane phase, that is when you know his abilities have a ton of raw base damage. It really comes down to his passive and how much damage he has early though. That's the combo that actually makes him stomp the crap out of lanes. AD carries normally need a little bit of time to kill somebody, but Draven can auto attack 2 or 3 times, ultimate, and they're gonna die. So at number 1 then we have the most fun champion in the game to play against, the invisible assassin herself, Akali. I'm gonna keep my AD carry salt to myself, but she has 3 gap closers, a lot of damage, plus she can outplay people with her shroud, which is something a lot of others on this list don't actually have. I'd say it's pretty face roll and pretty easy to press Q, R, and mash your keyboard until stuff dies, but maybe like the hard part is actually knowing when to go in. This is partly why though, when you get behind and you die early, you're basically screwed. Like, it's basically over. She can even R to a minion and then R to you to close a massive gap. It's not even really just the lane which will be over though. If you play like a complete pussy, maybe she'll leave you alone, maybe she can't die of you, and maybe you won't die, but then she roams and she kills everybody else instead. That's kind of how she snowballs a game out of control by herself, and why her win rate is insanely high if a game ends before 30 minutes. That is quite a long period at the start of a game where she's just crazy overpowered. Like, once she has a few items, she's able to cause so much havoc on the rest of the map, and there's not a good way to deal with her. Control wards don't work, so a champion that can dive in, combo, stealth, waiting for her cooldowns, and then finish you off, like, that is a definition of no counterplay and stomp. Really, Akali ticks every single box for this video, I think. You're able to get ahead well with her damage. That damage is easy to use, and if you make one mistake, then she'll tip over the edge and face roll the early to mid game. There are quite a few others that I think could have fit in here as well, like Talent, for example, Syndra maybe, even Vlad in theory. He gets ahead and he's going to dive you constantly. Let me know if there was one you think I should have included. Thank you for watching the video, but for now, I'll leave you with the robots.